Hello, this is Professor Jessica Dixon Weaver, and I am going to speak to you briefly about planning your academic calendar or schedule if you're interested in practicing family law. Family law is very dynamic and it's an exciting field. If you are a people person, then you will really enjoy meeting new clients and trying to help them with their situations. Most people think of family law as being just divorce law, sort of helping people separate within families, but it is actually a lot more diverse than that. Family law includes a host of different things. Most family lawyers practice both family law and another related area of law, such as estate planning or perhaps criminal law, sometimes family law and child welfare or juvenile justice, um, sometimes family law and criminal law. There are a lot of different things that you can do alongside family law, including bankruptcy and also business law. The first thing I would point you to is to go to the website and click on the academic um, or as far as the links for JD students under planning your academic program and pull up the family law page. You will see that the foundation courses include the basic family law course, also Texas matrimonial property, as well as children in the law and juvenile justice if it's offered. Children in the law and juvenile justice are not offered every semester or every year even. So you'll just have to check your schedule to see if that's available for you. The other place I would encourage you to look is under the civil practice, and I believe it's called civil litigation and dispute resolution. And that will point you to some other major courses that you do also need to pay attention to with respect to when you're thinking about practicing family law. I would say under civil litigation and dispute resolution, the main courses that you would want to include are Civil Procedure 1 and 2. Of course, you'll have those for first year. Evidence, alternative dispute resolution, professional responsibility, which is required, and then also trial techniques. Negotiation is also a procedure course that's encouraged. And if you're practicing in Texas, I would include Texas pretrial procedure and perhaps pretrial practice and advocacy if you are looking for an experiential learning opportunity. Going back to the family law courses, I mentioned earlier that family law is dynamic in the sense that there are a host of other interrelated laws that are dealt with within family law. In addition to divorce, you're dealing with oftentimes situations where families are dealing with business disputes, perhaps if there's a family owned business. That's why business enterprise and counseling the small business owner and creditors' rights are included in the related courses. You may also be dealing with a situation where a person has a domestic violence issue or a family violence issue. That could include a spouse, a partner, a cohabitating partner, a dating partner, children, and also relatives. Um, there are various courses that would include issues like this, including the Child Advocacy Clinic, as well as the Hunter Center and Clinic for Crimes Against Women. Those are two experiential courses that will give you great experience with respect to how to represent families that are going through issues with regard to family violence. In addition to that aspect, a, a course that kind of goes along with that, or courses that go along with the domestic violence aspect, are also criminal law, because typically if there is a domestic assault, either on a partner or a child, there may be a commensurate criminal law case where that person is being charged with a crime. And so being familiar with criminal procedure in Texas, as well as the Texas Penal Code, are very useful because part of how you will counsel your client may depend on the outcome of what happens in criminal court. Another related course is immigration law. Since we live in Texas and we have a very diverse population, it is likely that you will represent clients who don't come from the same background as you. And so learning about immigration and issues related to um, immigrants is important with respect to counseling and having a diverse client base. So I would encourage that as well. For estate planning, if you seek to do maybe family law and wills and trust, you can do family planning, which is more transactional in nature. Of course, trust and estates is important, as well as estate gift and income tax. Income taxation is also important because just generally, most issues that families deal with have a tax component. Divorce, planning businesses or having businesses with your family, doing a will or a trust for a family member, there are tax implications that you need to be aware of. And so it's important to have a well-rounded aspect, or a sense of, not a sense of, but it's important to have classes that make you a well-rounded attorney. And so the related courses that you'll see include a host of different types of laws. A big component of family law is mediation and negotiation. You're always negotiating as a family law attorney from the minute you take a case to the minute you close a case. Oftentimes, the court orders mediation in family law cases unless it's an adoption or something of that nature. So alternative dispute resolution I mentioned earlier, as well as negotiations, and anything that you can, where you can do that in a clinic setting is also important. Collaborative law is a specific area or specialization of sorts in family law. You have to be trained to get a certificate in order to be a collaborative lawyer, but it is an option for clients to use if they don't seek to litigate. So people who may have an amicable separation, if they're a couple, they can choose a collaborative lawyer basically to have a series of meetings or negotiations with another collaborative lawyer and seek to settle whatever differences they may have. And the only time they really go to court is to file the petition and also subsequently file the agreement that they have come to with respect to whatever it is that they're dealing with, whether it's child custody or child support or alimony, whatever particular areas that couples may have a disagreement, they can choose a collaborative law method in order to resolve that versus going to court and propounding discovery and going through a more adversarial litigation process. I want to say a little bit about law practice management, because most family lawyers are not working for large firms. There are several great firms that are in Dallas and in Texas and around the country, and those firms do specialize in usually specific areas of family law. And there's some firms that do a host of different family law type cases, as well as other areas of law. But if you were to survey the family law section of the Dallas Bar Association or the State Bar of Texas, you would find that most family law attorneys are solo practitioners, or they work in very small firms or with partners of one or two people, or 1 to 5 people. So law practice management is a course that you might not anticipate that you would need, But once you get your license, if you're unable to get a job with a family law firm or maybe with the DA's office, if you want to get more trial experience, you might find yourself having to open up your own office and hang out your shingle. I actually did that, and even though it seems very daunting, there's so much work out there for family lawyers, you would be surprised. And it's not that hard, but you do need to be aware of what it takes to be a business owner, which is different than being a lawyer. And so if you decide to hang your own shingle and start your own practice, you need to be educated on the laws that you have to follow as a solo practitioner or as a business owner so that you, one, keep your license, but two, you're able to have proper life balance and kind of know what you're getting yourself into before you start down that road. Trial advocacy and trial techniques are important. In many cases, a lot of the hearings that you will have as a family lawyer are evidentiary. For instance, if you have a client that needs a temporary restraining order, or if you're going to a 14-day hearing for a parent whose child has been removed from them by the state because of abuse or neglect, those hearings are evidentiary. Keyword evidence. You need to take evidence. Make sure you take evidence if you're interested in family law, because really the heart of family law is knowing the state family code and knowing civil procedure and evidence, because that's what you'll need in order to help your client. So I would encourage you to do something or take a course within your time at SMU that allows you to practice those skills that you will need in court, where you will be calling on witnesses and doing direct and cross examination, where you will be presenting evidence and having to enter evidence on the record, or where you'll need to know the ins and outs of submitting a business records affidavit and know who you need to call as a witness, and all of the details that you will need to be apprised of as a family lawyer. The best family lawyers actually are the ones who, as they say, sleep with the code. They know the code back and forward. You have to keep up with the code. It changes often every 2 years. Um, the legislature in Texas meets every 2 years, and you can bet that the family code, there's several different sections that will be changed every 2 years. And so it's really important for you to keep up with the different sections that do change so that you can properly inform your client, or at least be up on the new rules. And it's one of the things that you always have to have with you is the family code when you're going to court as a new family lawyer. The other thing I was going to say is that family law, I mentioned that it's very diverse because of your clients. It's also diverse because of the opposing counsel and your judges and the people that you will be interacting with. Family law is interdisciplinary, so I would encourage you to take courses perhaps from another school. You have 6 credits that you can take from another graduate school, perhaps psychology or education. You might find appropriate places to seek additional course loads or courses for you, developmental psychology or any psychology course that has to do with children. Oftentimes in family law cases, there's a psychological that might be ordered by the court or might be requested on your client as a parent or on children that you may represent, and you need to understand the language of psychologists. And what does this mean? There's a different language that they have, just like we have a language as lawyers, they have one as psychologists, and you do have to be familiar with that if you want to be able to help your client and achieve their objectives. Going back to interdisciplinary, I would encourage you also to take Women in the Law and a critical race theory, or any kind of course that will give you a different worldview, or a different, I guess, a different lens within which you can see or interpret the law. because you may have clients who are Jewish, you may have clients who are Muslim, you may have clients who are Christian, who you obviously will have clients that are men or women. You may have transgender clients. You may have clients who are part of the LGBTQI community, and you will have different races and different nationalities and ethnicities that you will deal with, both as clients and also opposing counsel, like I mentioned, and also judges. And so having an understanding of who those people are, what their history is, what their culture is like, will help you in your communication with them and in just helping them and helping your own client. A lot of family law is communication. It's written communication and also verbal, oral communication. You will need to take, obviously, an edited writing course and a general writing course. I would encourage you to take advanced family law or any course that gives you advanced research. So advanced legal research is also a great course to take. Um, a course that gives you the experience of writing more. Sometimes you're called by a judge to write a brief on whatever point it is that you filed a motion on. And so you need to be able to write an effective brief and be able to argue that in front of a judge. So those are the types of things that you'll be asked to do or be required to do as a family practitioner. So you want to be prepared as you can, in case you do have to start your own practice, or if you go into the district attorney's office or the public defender's office, or if you start with a firm. It would be great if you had some experience in actually performing the tasks that you will be asked to do as a lawyer. I would encourage you to do an externship with any of the organizations that offer exposure to family law clients. City Square, Texas Lawyers for Children, I believe Human Rights Initiative also is a good externship. There may be more that allow you to work with clients who have family law issues, and whatever organization that is, I would seek that out. If there is an organization that's not on the list and you find one that is actually offering legal services, you can always ask to see if that particular organization can be added to our roster as a place where you can complete your externship. I think that's it as far as what you might need to do or consider with respect to planning your schedule if you're interested in family law. You can always also do a directed research um, with a professor who writes or studies in that area. There are many of us who do. So that list is long. I believe that the professors who are familiar with family law issues are also listed on the Planning Your Academic Calendar link and listed under family law. If you have any questions, I would encourage you to talk with any of us who practice family law. That would be myself, Professor Weaver, Professor Grossman, Professor Nanasi, Professor Silasky, Professor Brantley. I forgot to mention the Family Law Clinic. Oh my gosh, how could I forget that? So we do have an excellent family law clinic that I would highly also encourage you to apply for. So that's really 3 clinics that you have that would give you some exposure to family law, which is incredible for our law school. We currently, I believe, have an A ranking with respect to all of our courses and our the different things that we offer within the family law spectrum. So you have a great platform from which to learn, and I would encourage you to seek out the professors and also clinicians and also attorneys in the community. Use the SMU Mustang bar and our alumni who can speak with you about the practice of family law. They are willing and able to sit down and talk with you, including our judges. We have a lot of judges in Dallas County who actually are SMU alum, and they love speaking to students. So I would also encourage you, maybe before you go down the road of taking all these courses, if you have a chance one day when you're not pressed for time, go down to the George Allen Courthouse and go to the floor where they are conducting hearings. You can go to an associate judge's court or a district court judge and sit in the courtroom um, and just listen and observe. Look at the attorneys, listen to the types of cases that they are dealing with, the types of issues. I would say that family law is very emotional, and you do have to be a person who can somewhat compartmentalize what happens with your clients and what they're going through, and what's going on in your world as the attorney representing that person. Um, you obviously want to have a heart, and you always will, typically with family law clients, but there's a fine balance between what you do at work and what you take home. And so I always tell students that you have to have a stomach for family law. Usually people are interested in helping other people. They're interested in seeking to do the best that they can for that client and their family, and just ensuring that that person is in a better place from the time that they walked into your office. Because oftentimes when you have a family law client, they sometimes are at a low point, either in their marriage or with their children, or perhaps even with the state. So it's your job to listen effectively and to figure out the best way to help them as an attorney. As always, I'm available. You can email me at jdweaver@smu.edu, or you can schedule a coffee, tea, or yogurt time with me. I usually do that with my students, and I'm happy to do that with anyone who's interested in the practice of law. And I'm also happy to connect you with lawyers that I know in the city that would be more than happy to sit down with you for coffee or just meet with you to answer questions. So hopefully you'll join the cadre of almost 7,000 Texas attorneys that practice family law. It's a very warm group. We enjoy what we do, and it's a lot of fun. So with that, I'll end. Thank you for your time.